Good evening, everyone. We are here to have our salute to young women in STEM. We will continue celebrating women. March is Women's History Month, but we want to continue celebrating women, and we'll do so by having a panel discussion and also inviting individuals to attend and participate who are on the call. So let me just make sure we have everyone on.
Ms. McFarland, the breakout rooms are currently open, so I think some people went ahead and
Yeah.
joined those rooms.
All right, let me close those out. Yeah, I don't know why it automatically put him in there. Maybe I hit the wrong thing. All right, thank you for that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get going and get our meeting kicked off here. So it's important for us to understand that we are called to change the statistic. It is based on the statistics, it is harder for females to continue their interest in STEM if they have not connected with it by middle school. The likelihood of them continuing that path is slim. So what we want to do is focus on how we can change that. And one way we're going to do that is by sharing information on high school students and collegiates who are from RTP NSBE Junior that have overcome that hurdle. They've made it beyond middle school. They are in high school. And the seniors that we have who we're going to talk tonight, they're actually planning to go to college. So based on this, we're going to have them share, and I also have invited a few professionals, females who are working in tech fields and in engineering and STEM, to talk about their journey and to answer any questions. We want to remove any reservations that you may have regarding STEM, and also if there are what we would call allies, males on the phone who want to share their experience, we want to do that as well. First of all, just a little background information. We are a part of the National Society of Black Engineers. We are a NSBE Junior chapter. NSBE is affectionately known as NSBE, founded in 1975, and today have over 600 chapters. And last time I checked, we had peaked at 30,000 members at our largest, but that number fluctuates based on how many people sign up each year. We actually just came back from the conference. It was amazing in Kansas City. There were about 15,000 people there who were K through 12 and professional, collegiate and professional members of NSBE. So as you can see here, NSBE has a full pipeline, and those of us on the call are participating. Some have participated in multiple levels, and we'll talk more about that. The NSBE mission is to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community. And with the panel discussion that we're going to host tonight, our young women in STEM are giving back. So they're going to positively impact the community by doing that. They have already excelled academically. They are on path to succeed professionally. And we also have professionals who will share how they are succeeding professionally. But at these different levels in their journey, you're going to get a chance to hear about what has enabled them to be successful, what challenges they've had, and things that can inspire you to continue on. And in our audience, I know that we have middle schoolers, we have individuals who are aspiring to pursue STEM. We want to encourage them to do so and not be discouraged. All right, now I'm going to introduce our panelist moderator. I will co-moderate with you, Imani. Imani, would you like to say a little bit about yourself?
Hello, my name is Imani Aziogu. A lot of the things on my slide, my video will also mention, but I am in 10th grade right now. I attend Odyssey Charter School in Wilmington, Delaware. And I aspire to be an environmental engineer / environmental scientist. And I am the NSBE Junior Chapter's president at the time.
All right. And I'm going to have to go to that slide. I was not able to get the video to play when I brought it in. So let me see if I can do that.
All right.
All right. I think we got it this time.
Hi everyone, my name is Imani, RTP NSBE Junior's chapter president. I'm a 10th grader at Odyssey Charter School in Wilmington, Delaware. Some of my hobbies are dancing as well as jewelry making, and the one thing I'm very, very passionate about is our environment as well as conserving it for generations to come. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to pursue environmental engineering. And by doing that, I intend to become one of the world's culturally responsible Black engineers, as our mission says. While I'm in school right now, I'm working on the part of becoming excellent in school, excelling academically, so that I will be able to excel professionally and eventually positively impact our environment. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Imani. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and ask the panelists, and then I'll let Imani handle the questions, but we'll go through quickly and have each of the panelists introduce themselves. Get us here. So we have a panel that includes, like I said, collegiate and high school, young women in STEM. We'll start with Archie.
Hi everyone. So my name is Archie. Miss Frond, I think you're. Oh, sorry, there was an echo for a second. Hi, I'm a senior at Raleigh Charter High School. I'm also the chapter vice president. So I'm interested in studying environmental sciences, data science, and I'm also considering pre-med, but I'm not super sure about that. Like the slide mentions, I'm a member of Cortex Robotics, which is a robotics team that competes in the first robotics competition. I'm also a dancer, and I've been working on developing some DEI initiatives for said robotics team. I was also previously working with a PhD student at NC State University, helping to do some research on the deep sea.
And Braylon.
Hi, everybody. I apologize for not having my camera on. I am in the middle of going home. My name is Breland McDonald. I am a member of NSBE. I'm also the Academic Excellence Chair. I go to Awake Early College. I'm a senior. I'm involved in RTP NSBE Junior. Like I said, I've been involved in Team Immunity, which was a research project for calculating like the differences of underrepresented minorities taking the COVID-19 vaccine versus the majority of civilians in the United States. I will be attending UNC Charlotte as a nursing student in the fall. And that's all for me.
Awesome. Thanks for that update. All right. And now we're going to move to our collegiate panelists. Kaylin, would you like to go next?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kaylin Coleman. I go to Meredith College. I am a math major, double minoring data science and public health. And I'm excited to be here. And congratulations, Breland.
All right. And Lauren Lascano.
Hi, I'm a current student at UNC Chapel Hill. Previously, I was NSBE Junior's vice president for the RTP chapter, and I'm currently, or actually in the summer, I'm going to be working at SAS as a marketing development intern. So, yep.
And Ashanti Simmons.
Hi, I'm Ashanti. I go to North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. I'm majoring in computer graphic technology, and I'm a sophomore right now currently. And I was in NSBE before college, so now I'm here. That's it.
All right. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Amani to walk us through the panel and ask questions of you all. And if there are people in the who've joined who have questions for them, feel free to put them in the chat. And Imani, I'll help you know what's in the chat.
All right. So I'm going to ask the questions, and in no particular order. I guess you guys can unmute and anyone can answer, and then we can kind of just go in order until everyone finishes answering the question. I'll move on to the next one, and then we might get some feedback from the chat. So first, I guess we'll start off simple. How did you know that you wanted to, how or when did you know that you wanted to venture into the field of STEM?
Oh, I'll go. So when I was young, I was involved in a lot of groups. I remember taking like a STEM course over one summer, I believe. And we focused mainly on well, it was a bunch of different activities, but I remember vividly doing like Photoshop and working with a bunch of stuff like that. So I've always kind of been interested in computers and technology. I like video games, I like art, and so that's why I decided to be in my major, computer graphic technology with the concentration and user experience. So that's what I'm interested in, and that's what I want to focus on.
Thank you. Anyone else feel free to chime in with their answer?
Yeah, I can talk next. So my dad is an industrial engineer, so at John Deere, and I've been just listening to him talk about his job for years, and so I've always really known about gotten to hear about his work and his field, and so I think that's definitely gotten me interested in STEM. And then also just going through classes at school, seeing what I enjoyed. I really was super math and science oriented. And yeah, in high school, for the first 3 years, I wanted to be pre-med. I felt that really interested me, but in my senior year, I learned more about computer science, and that's what I decided to pursue. And I really like it so far.
Awesome, thank you. Next person.
Yeah, I can jump in. I think the main thing that attracted me to STEM was just the sort of interdisciplinary nature of it. In middle school, I really got interested in the ocean and trying to understand more about what these organisms were, because I went on a tour of the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences. I got to see the behind the scenes, the collections and all they have, and I was just seeing all of these organisms that I had never even heard of before and didn't even know about. So I ended up volunteering at the museum, and so while there, I actually got to write a blog post about just some research that I did about this Duke Marine Labs research vessel that collected a lot of the specimens that we used at the museum. And so that was sort of the first time that I had gotten to see oh, STEM it's not just science, technology, engineering, and math. It's also history, it's also writing, it's also a lot of my other interests, right? And so that sort of interdisciplinary nature is something that stuck with me. And so now I want to combine my interest in environmental science and data science and history and all of those things. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I would say I've been all over the place with mine. So at first I wanted to go into poli-sci. And then I really just started to like science. But then I got introduced to engineering and I was just like, oh my gosh, it sounds so fun. And then I just went into mathematics because it's really, really broad. You can do anything with it. You can do anything with engineering as well, but I just thought that was the path I was going to be on for my undergraduate years. And yeah, so that's why I chose my field.
Okay, I don't know if everyone got to answer the question. If anyone else wants to chime in.
I can chime in real quick. So I first got into STEM when I was like really little in elementary school. I always liked the science classes. I liked the little science expo we would put on each year where we made a project. I also had female role models in my life, my mother and my aunt. And really they encouraged me to go into the STEM field because they were in the STEM field. So I had those role models to teach me how to get into like college, how to take my classes and how to succeed. I also volunteered in the hospital this summer. So that really solidified that I wanted to be in the STEM field and also that I wanted to go into nursing later on.
All right. Thank you guys. So my next question was going to be about like, how can you translate different hobbies or interests you have into, I guess, a career in STEM or majoring in STEM, but you guys kind of integrated that into your responses. So that's awesome. But for my next question, I have, now that you are kind of in the field of STEM, whether you're still in high school, college, or you're in your career right now, what do you see about your environment or what do you feel needs to change, I guess? You might have to think about this one for a little bit. I don't know.
I've noticed since I've been at Chapel Hill, just there's a little bit of a lack of just an engineering community. Like we don't really have an engineering school. And so actually, I'm working with some other computer science students and students of other majors to create a chapter of Alpha Omega Epsilon, which is a professional and social technology and engineering sorority. And so there are definitely other clubs at UNC that help to integrate a kind of community for women and underrepresented students. But I think just we need more, definitely. So that's why I'm working with some of my friends to do that. And so, yeah, I think that's something that could probably change in UNC where I'm at, but we're working to actively change that.
Thank you. Absolutely. All right. Anyone else?
I can jump in. I think like one thing that I've noticed with like my efforts to improve DEI on my robotics team, and Ms. McFarland and I have talked about this a ton, but I think that we tend to get stuck a lot on statistics and trying to just like improve the percentage of people of color or of women. And like while that's like we definitely need to do that, like yes, having positive role models is amazing. But I think a lot of companies and a lot of organizations fall short in doing the work to actually make it an inclusive environment and like to make it so that people of color and that women and minorities in general can actually succeed in the company. I think that that's something that we don't always pay attention to. And more recently, like with this surge in calling for companies to be more inclusive and stuff, a lot of them are tending to put out statistics rather than actually get out.
Right. make a change. I understand. All right. Anyone else?
Hey, Money, can you repeat the question?
Okay, so my question was, now that you are involved in STEM, whether you're in college or you're about to enter college or you're working in STEM, what do you notice really while, like, as you're in the field? Like, what do you notice, and what do you think needs to change, I guess, is the question. You can go anywhere with this.
Yeah, there's some professionals that are on, whether you are male or female or gender neutral, and you want to chime in on it, feel free to do so. This is a very good question. I'd be interested in seeing what some of the professionals on the call think.
I can speak on this question. So I do go to Meredith, which is a private college and also a PWI and a women's college. So you already know a lot of times I'll be the only, African American in a class, which can be difficult sometimes, or I can, like, all my math professors are Caucasian. So it can be hard to see yourself in a math position when you don't see somebody like you in those positions. So I hope that, Meredith does better with hiring faculty that represents the student population. And I hope that happens soon.
All right, thank you. Before I move on, anyone else? Or anyone from the professional chapter or anyone who is pursuing a career in STEM right now can feel free to unmute or drop an answer into the chat before I move on.
Yes, I'll go. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, my camera is not on. However, I am Natalia Polite. I currently attend North Carolina A&T State University, and I also serve as the pre-college initiative chair for our chapter, our NSBE chapter. And so I am currently majoring in computer engineering. And so being a student in STEM, something that I would just like to see different is kind of more so guided towards the curriculum of our courses. A lot of times, not only for myself, but with the groups that I'm in and just talking to other STEM students, specifically engineering students, the curriculum is very complex. And when you are trying to sell yourself, whether it's in an interview or if it's during an internship or a co-op, it's very hard to tie those pieces together, because when you're in classes, you're just learning, but you're not really applying that knowledge. And so when you are speaking to representatives from these large companies that you want to go to, you kind of feel small because a lot of which you basically like just struggling with technical skills. And so I think one thing that I see A&T is kind of doing is bringing in industry employees and having them as professors. So I know for one of my coding classes, I actually had a professor who, well, they're not a professor, but I had an employee that worked at Meta who was teaching us a course. And so and I could see the difference in his course compared to another coding class that I have taken with just an actual professor. His assignments were more guided to real work industry, like real industry work. And so it allowed me to understand the information better because again, it's very complex. So sorry for my long answer, but that was a good question. So I wanted to share.
No, it was actually awesome. I loved all the things that you shared. And okay, so for my next question, I had questions that everyone kind of
Can I chime in money on that last one too? So something I think that needs to change in the workplace, back to what Archie said, spot on the fact that there is a shortage of underrepresented demographics such as females, people of color, in the workplace, and actually having a sense of belonging for everyone. We're now looking at neurodiversity, people with non-traditional collegiate backgrounds, even like maybe they decided later in life that they want to get into STEM and they didn't go to college. The shortage of talent is tremendous, that we really cannot afford to exclude anyone who is capable human potential. Like we should not, we should be asking ourselves, how can we equip someone to be a STEM professional if they have an interest, passion, and they demonstrate the skills? So I just want to chime in on that. And yes, we don't want to just say we have this many people, but are they having a quality experience? Can they reach their fullest potential? And if you are a college student and you are in the process of interviewing for internships or a full-time job, you want to make sure you're asking these questions to the companies. You're doing this research. If they don't have a diversity, equity, inclusion program, I wouldn't work there. If they don't have employee resource groups or affinity groups that enable diversity in the employee experience, I will look elsewhere. I will look elsewhere if they're not working on getting those things. They should already have them. If they don't have them by now, it would just, I don't know if that's going to be a place where you're going to reach your fullest potential. So.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tony. Okay, so unless anyone else wanted to jump in, but for my next question, it's kind of 2 in 1. Where do you hope for the future of STEM, especially women in STEM, and people of color in STEM to go? Where do you hope for the future of that to go, and why is it so important for our future for more people to be interested in STEM, especially women of color?
So I want to take this one, even though I'm not on the official panel. Have you guys heard reports about like AI and other things kind of having that racism and other things? If we're not represented in spaces, our voices are not taken into account, whether it's healthcare, engineering, any side of technology. And we are in these spaces so that our voice and others that look like us, voices are taken into account and part of the conversation, part of the foundation as it's being built, instead of being added as an afterthought.
And Fatima, can you introduce yourself?
Oh yeah, sorry. My name is Fatima Fatajo. I am a software engineer at John Deere. I work in
I think we lost her video.
in the Midwest, and I also attended Wake Early College of Health and Science. I heard someone mention.
Okay, and Fatima also went to North Carolina State University, go Wolfpack. And actually if you Google her, you'll see her photo on like still things at state that she was a part of while there. And it has a very promising future. Like she is definitely a leader in her field, and I would say in the industry and what she does.
Thank you so
And she's also a new mom, so she's juggling a lot.
Tony, and kind of like what Tony's doing with you guys today. She's definitely doing this even at John Deere. She's like the diversity lead. Like she created her own role. And kind of like I was saying, being in that space, Tony's definitely one of the people that's making sure minorities' voices have been heard in these spaces.
And also to kind of expand off of Imani's question, why is it important to have women of color in STEM? And how are we, using this as an opportunity to give back? So I don't know if Fatima will mention this or not, but she's actually working on a nonprofit that she can go back to her country, go back to Gambia, and actually create more opportunities for STEM there. So not only is it important for us to succeed professionally, but positively giving back to the community, positively giving back to where you came from, and paving that way and opening those opportunities for others to follow. If we don't do it for others who are like us, it's not necessarily going to happen. It's not a priority for others. So if you are second, third, fourth generation in the United States, if you have roots and ancestry in other countries, and your experience can help others, definitely do that. Definitely give back to where your roots are beyond the United States.
Thank you, Dr. Tony. Thank you, Ms. Fatima. When I was listening to your response, I thought of this documentary that I watched a few months ago called Coded Bias. And it was basically explaining what you were talking about, where even in AI, even in things that are supposed to be purely unbiased, we have to take a look at who is one coming up with these inventions, controlling them. And in the documentary I watched, it was purely Caucasian men. So even in something that's supposed to be purely unbiased, there is still quote unquote hidden bias and sometimes not so hidden bias. Um, and it's so important to have representation. That's one of the many reasons it's so important to have representation for us in STEM fields, because a lot of that translates to things that do affect us. Okay. Anybody else want to answer the question? And again, it is why is it important for women of color to be in STEM, and why is that so important to our future?
Yeah, so one of the things that actually drew me to environmental sciences and data science was when Ayanna Ferguson, who is a data scientist, she helped us with the Trends Data Camp this past summer. She told me about how she started studying environmental inequities. She did this really cool project where she went to India, and she actually found that climate change was negatively impacting female education in developing countries. So essentially, what her group found was that with climate change, as storms were increasing, more hurricanes, more tropical storms, women were actually being pulled out of school and stuff to help more around the home. And so like that sort of issue, like that would have never occurred to me, that there was a correlation between climate change and like female education. And I feel like that's just kind of a testament to, if you don't talk to populations, like to certain populations, you're just going to completely overlook these issues. And so that's sort of why I want to go into environmental science and data science, is to learn more about the issues that maybe we don't constantly see in the media all the time, like talk to the people who are overlooked a lot of the time.
Thank you. All right, anyone else?
I just want to say I pretty much agree with everyone. And for myself as like a Black woman, I just think that representation is important in any field, and especially for young women and men, young boys and girls of color. I think it's just important to see somebody that looks like you in any field. So it just gives you inspiration and hope, and it makes your dreams bigger than restricting and limiting yourselves to like what you think you can accomplish because you're just limited, or if you don't see anybody in that field that looks like you have a limited scope of what you believe you can do.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Okay, anyone else before we move on to the next question?
I just wanted to add, I think diversity is definitely super important for creating a space where people don't feel the need to prove themselves to their coworkers, and just because that environment is just so not good for growth and like collaboration. And so I think just working in a space where everyone feels represented and equal to each other, so that they can all help each other grow and help each other succeed. That's all really important.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else before we move on? Okay, and if you have anything else that comes up later on, feel free to drop it in the chat, or you can raise your hand. Okay, so this next question, when I was coming up with it, I kind of turned the question on myself. I was thinking, since I'm asking the panelists all of these questions, what's something that I can ask myself and that I should be able to answer? And it is, what am I doing as someone who's interested in venturing into STEM, as well as a young woman in STEM? what is something that I'm doing to maybe break down barriers or encourage other people to be interested in STEM, I guess. And for me, my school has a TSA, Technology Student Association, that I was involved in last year, and we also have a BPA, Business Professionals of America group. And one thing I noticed that is in my computer science class, I am the only Black female, and I'm one of two girls in my class. So that's one thing I noticed that, okay, I know it's very male dominated, the field, even if I'm just in a classroom right now in high school. And even when I joined TSA, I'm not in TSA this year, but when I was in last year, it was a lot of the same thing. And I thought, okay, to myself, why is that? And sometimes it's not just that I guess girls aren't as interested in STEM, but the interest kind of dwindles when they become discouraged. Because at some point that was me. I was becoming discouraged because I saw I was the only person in the room, or one of the only few people in the room that looked like me. And there are some like undertones of like obviously bias and a lot of times sexism. I notice, even if it's something that's just little, but it's it's still there. So right now, as I'm in BPA, I was like, okay, what can I do, I guess, to encourage other girls like me that are passionate or they have some inkling of interest in STEM, or just, I guess, doing something else other than just going to school. And I did that by encouraging someone else to join BPA, which is what I was in, an after school thing where we study for events. I was in the event of fundamentals of web design, and I competed at the state level, and I qualified for nationals. And there's this girl in my grade, and she's exceptionally intelligent. She's so smart. She's Greek, because I go to a Greek school, and she came over here to America the same year I started school in sixth grade at my charter school, and she's lined up basically to be valedictorian, but she wasn't really doing anything else other than just going to, I guess, high school, just going to school. And I was like, hey, like, do you want to join BPA? It's something that I feel like you would do great, and there's varieties of different events you can compete in, find something that you like, and you can compete and make it to the state level or even maybe nationals. And that was just something I was able to encourage her to join. And she competed in her event. She didn't qualify for states, but she was proud that she joined. It was her first year, and it was my first year too. So that's just one thing I guess I did to maybe encourage somebody else. So I guess that was just an introduction to my next question. What do you feel that you are doing, or maybe that you could be doing, to hold yourself accountable as a woman of color in STEM, or just a woman in STEM, that I guess you can encourage other girls to pursue their interests, I guess, in STEM?
I can go. I think for me, just like you mentioned when you were speaking, how difficult it is and how, you know, just it's easy to become discouraged, and it's easy to say, I'm not going to, rather than stick it out. So I think me just being in this space that I'm in, as an African American woman, studying what I'm studying, and also um, being able to go into the industry with internships and things like that. I think that was the first thing that came to my mind, just being in that space, to even be able to do such thing, but also making sure that I'm connecting back with those that are like the future generations. So I do lots of community service in different realms, and also in different capacities as well, whether it's in school, outside of school, and also, just internationally as well. I'm actually a mentor for the like girls in mathematical sciences in Ghana. So I think it's really important to give back to your community, but also think about those that are not necessarily quote unquote in your community. Because everyone has, so much potential, and just making sure that you're reaching those that are not even being seen. It's one thing to give back in Greensboro because that's where A&T is, but I want to give back in different states and different countries. And just really making sure that I'm doing everything I can to make sure that the next generation, whether it's in the United States, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in Europe, just making sure that everyone has the potential and the opportunities that I have. And then I'm also the founder of a mentoring program as well. So through that, I'm able to really connect with, with future, the next generations. So I feel like that's what I'm doing.
Right. Thank you so much.
Just to piggyback off of what Natalia said, since it's so easy to connect with people around the world now, it is important to make sure that we have equity and access to STEM. We just saw that played out with COVID-19. Like, we still have COVID. It's still, here. We want to eradicate it. Doesn't matter if the scientist is from the United States or from Ghana or from Czechoslovakia, or, it doesn't matter where they're from. Everyone will be glad to be able to not be concerned or worried about COVID or any other disease for that matter. So I think that's why it's important to make sure there's equal opportunity and it is equitable. And if you are able to give back in any capacity, whether it's in your community or other areas of the world that you're connected with, the next big invention, innovation that changes our daily living could be from someone who lives in another place, could be from someone who's very different from you or very much like you. So that's what we have to get other people to recognize too. People who are maybe the majority, they need to recognize that there's capability in everyone and don't exclude. And can we repeat the question, Money? I think we see that in the chat.
So my question was, what is something that you are currently doing or something that you feel like you could be doing to hold yourself accountable and I guess recruiting more people into the field of STEM or encouraging more people to pursue their interests in STEM so that we can have more people overall, especially people of color.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I stepped away. I came back, but hello. Oh, this is so great. Can I just say this is amazing? You guys look at you. You're amazing. Like they're just like little inspirers. It's crazy. I'm Maya really quick. And I was actually thinking about this question. This one called me and I wanted to come back. And I heard a lot of people mentioning about volunteering. And there's, some of that I do and kind of like, talking to the younger generation. There's something I wanted to kind of like mention though, which is a little bit about your question. There's something to be said about the colleagues that you work with as well. So like all three of you, once you start getting into the real work world, I went to a conference last week, and one of the best things that I noticed was the community that I had with people of color, especially women of color, and the camaraderie that was created, and that effort, that reaching out to people who look like you and making friends, and having someone be able to come and talk to you and feel comfortable in the job that you're in. That's just, there's no amount of, I can't even explain how useful that is to me. And I was talking to someone who's a little bit higher up than me, than I am in the org, and she was saying how she almost left John Deere, and it was the team, it was the NSBE group that brought her back in. They kept talking to her, they kept trying to convince her to stay, and showing her that there's a community at this company. And I think that's so important. It's not just always about like volunteering. It's sometimes there's something you can do right where you're sitting. So if you're in class and you see another Black woman who's struggling, or not even struggling, make friends, do your notes together, do your homework together, and make those connections, because you can imagine how helpful that can be later on down the line. Like, I know someone on this call, Miriam and Tony as well, they do so much at my job in keeping me sane, keeping me wanting to keep coming into work. And there's something to be said about that as well. It's like, once you get where you're trying to get to, you want to get to corporate, or you want to be a PhD, or whatever your goal is, once you get there, stay there. And the best way to stay there is have friends who will be like, listen, everything's going to be fine. You need to chill out, like, calm down. It's all okay, because you don't want to feel overwhelmed. And there's something to be said about someone who looks at you telling you to calm yourself down, because you will. I promise you. Tony's told me a couple of times, like, everything's okay. And I listened, because I had that camaraderie with her, and I trusted her to tell me things are going to be all right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miriam. I work with Maya and Tony at John Deere, actually report directly to Tony. I just wanted to add a little bit to what Maya was saying. And I was thinking, obviously in the corporate space, it's really great to have that camaraderie, but most likely that's not going to be the majority of the demographic of the place that you work for. And I think it's also really important to engage in conversations with people who might not understand the value of diversity. And within this group right here on this call, everybody can say, yeah, well, diversity is important, like, duh. Well, right, but not everyone thinks like that. And it might not necessarily be a malicious intent. It's just they haven't had the experience to understand why it's important, because from their perspective, it doesn't cross their mind. And they have to be in a space where they're willing to understand why diversity matters, or how that affects other people, how their team could benefit. But like, understanding it's not usually a malicious intent, it's just a lack of awareness. And sometimes you can be that person to bridge that gap of understanding for other people, and which can be really intimidating, because you don't know what the other person's thinking. But I would like to think a lot of people would be willing to hear, and at least hear what you have to say, and maybe understand. But being willing to engage in those conversations that may be a little difficult, or you're not really sure what the other person's thinking.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to chime in on that too. So diversity, equity, inclusion is like a huge initiative at pretty much every corner of the earth right now. If you're somewhere and no one knows what that is, and they've been sleeping under a rock. But basically, you're gonna have to pull other people in who don't look like you. Help them embrace valuing differences. And it does feel a little uncomfortable, because you don't know if they're going to be receptive or not. But I have actually been pleasantly surprised, to the point that it is a little overwhelming. There's so many people, like a lot of white males, or people of various ethnicities, want to help. They want to be a part of making a change. That I don't even have time to, like, find them something to do. So it's very overwhelming. And you'll be I have been pleasantly surprised by the willingness of people to want to just learn. And it can get a little fatiguing at times, because you always have someone who's expecting you to help and teach and direct. So you have to be careful about self-care. And back to what Maya was saying, sometimes you feel like you're on a ledge and you're ready to just kind of throw in the towel, or you need people around you that will make sure you're taking care of yourself. So I'm actually at work right now, and one of the ladies who is a part of our team that makes sure the building is clean and keeping it safe, she said, "You don't look right. Have you eaten today?" And actually, I have not eaten since breakfast. She went to get me something to eat. So literally, not even just your coworkers, but other people that you have relationships with will recognize that this is a community. We're in this together. So make sure that you go places like that. That may not be at the top of your radar when you're, like, looking at, where do I work and where's my career? You may just be thinking about, I just need a job. No, you need a community. You need a place where you want to be, because the people there embrace you, they prop you up, and they may not necessarily look like you. There may be people you're bypassing because you kind of have this wall up, and you're not expecting them to accept you, but actually they will.
All right, thank you, Dr. Tony. Okay, I know it is getting closer to the time that we are ending, but I don't know if I do actually have time to answer this question, but it's just like a closing question. So what, and this anyone can answer this, I guess, but what is your message, or what's something that you want to say to younger girls, or even like me, I'm a sophomore in high school in STEM, who are just interested, just have a little, inkling of interest in STEM? What would you say to them? Maybe they're showing signs that they're discouraged from entering the field of STEM, or they don't know how to tread, or they don't know how to deal with certain obstacles that may arise. What would you say to them, I guess, entering this field of STEM or encouraging them to do so?
I would just say to keep going, keep practicing and honing your skills, to never give up, and to ask a lot of questions. I feel like, I know in school systems and just like, there's this fear of asking questions and looking stupid. Don't be afraid to look dumb, to just ask a lot of questions, because if you don't, they say closed mouths don't get fed. So you will be even more confused than if you would have just asked your question. I encourage young women to keep pushing forward, to study, and to just focus on your goals ahead.
Yeah, I would. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I would just say make sure that you're focusing on like the small victories, like even if they don't seem like that much. Like I've been pushing for more DI initiatives on my robotics team, and this started like about a year ago. And a year ago, I was like, oh, team culture is going to completely change. Like all of these things are going to happen. You're like, flash forward a year, team culture has not completely changed. Like things are not totally different, but they are a little different, right? Like I know Maya was talking earlier about like camaraderie. Well, now we have that, right? We have special meetings where the girls get together and just sort of share their experiences, talk about how meetings are going, things like that. And earlier this summer, we actually attended, for the first time ever, our team attended an all-girl and non-binary member competition. And so it was just like the 6 girls on the team trying to run the entire competition. And I got to see all of the younger female members with their hands like all over the robot, like repairing the intake, doing strategy discussions, like driving the robot, doing all this cool stuff that like I didn't get to do when I was their age. So I guess like it's hard. It's very hard to be a woman in STEM and to push for change, but you just got to focus on the progress that you are making and the impact that you're having.
Thank you. That's great advice. All right. Anyone else?
Really quickly, I'll just say. Oh, I have an echo. Oh well, it's all good. Anyone can do this. Like that's my byline. I'm gonna put that like at the end of my email. Anyone can do any of this. Anyone can do absolutely anything if you try hard enough. I came from theater. And there was no world where I thought that I was going to be in STEM, that I was going to be in data and analytics, that I was ever going to have this career path. And it took me just kind of taking that leap of faith to really get there and realize when I'm sitting in that chair finally and I'm starting to like understand things, I'm like, oh, this is possible. This is absolutely possible. That imposter syndrome, you get over, like it's so heavy and it's very hard to get through. But once you kind of like get through it, it's so beautiful on the other side. And I just came to the realization like halfway through, I think, not even when I got my job, just like when I was like maybe like a couple of months in, this was doable. And it never felt doable until like it was all done, if that makes any sense. I know it's kind of confusing, but yeah, I'm sitting there and thinking, wow, like I made it. I'm sitting here, I'm doing what I actually wanted to do and I never thought I could do. And I just had to keep pushing forward the entire time. But when you're in the beginning and you're at the back of the wall, you can see the wall, you don't want to climb it, you're afraid to climb it, you can feel like it's not possible. I promise you. If someone who, I swear to God, people, I was not good at math. I was not the best mathematician. I liked it. I was not that good. I was never doing anything coding wise in my entire life, except for maybe like a camp or two. and I got here. And I just say anyone can do this. You just have to find the right path, find the right people to push you. It's definitely possible.
There's a quote, I don't know it exactly off the top of my head, by the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RBG, the feminist icon. In an interview, she always pushed for like the Supreme Court to be all women, and people thought that was so ridiculous. And she responds, well, it's been all men for over 100 years and no one's questioned it. And, you know, like, I think obviously that's in the law, but legal area, but I think you can apply that to anywhere of like, why settle for like a little bit, or like, don't set your ceiling yourself, like keep trying to push what's possible. And it's true. Like after reading that quote, I remember thinking like, yeah, it's true. It's been all men. No one said anything, but anything's possible.
Thank you. I'm not sure
like
who has questioned it.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I like to add just oh my god, I'm so sorry. I lost my train of thought. But if it comes back to me, I'll come back.
All right. I also just wanted to say one thing that you said, Lauren, that we shouldn't have like environments where we have to like we feel like we have to try so hard to prove ourselves, if that makes sense. Like I don't know if I worded that correctly. Like we should try hard, but like for example, I was just in business class the other day, and I was put in a group with all boys, and my teacher made me the captain to like lead them because they needed a little bit of guidance, I guess. But I felt as if I had to like I don't know, be this representative of like girls because I was the only one there, and I, you know, made sure I put my all into the project as I would always do, but it was something off about it because I shouldn't have to feel like I have to try extra hard to prove what I already know. I guess that I'm a good student, I'm knowledgeable, but just because of the environment that I was put in, so I don't know, but that's the one thing that did stick with me when you answered the question earlier. So, but definitely if your answer comes back to you, yeah, you can shout it out. Anyone else? Just one thing that you would, I guess, a message to girls before the meeting ends, I guess.
Yeah, I actually remember. I would say definitely like use your resources. Like I know at UNC there's so many resources available for people. Like there's study resources, there are people that come from companies that you can come talk to, there are career fairs, all that. And like just try to use your resources because they can help you in like any aspect that you want to pursue.
100%. Yeah. Thank you.
I think Natalia was going to say something as well.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to just say like remaining confident. I know there's times where we're challenged with certain things, or you know, you may be in a team with all male parts individuals, and you know, they may make you feel less of because you are a, you know, you're a female. But I just would, yeah, just say remain confident, because I know in different spaces, you know the information, but someone could easily assume you don't, or you know, like if you're in like groups and stuff, you're like, oh, you know, like, yeah, you're going to be the leader, we got the technical piece. Like, well, who said I don't know how to code, you know? So just remaining confident in everything, in not making yourself seem as small, because again, you know, we're all capable, like many of us have said on the call. So just remaining confident and being confident in yourself.
I'm going to chime in too and say, here's some advice that I got from Dr. Ronald McNair when I met him in high school. He said, don't be afraid to explore the unknown. I talked to him about what I wanted to major in, and I said, I think I'm going to just stick with music. I was undecided between music and engineering because I was not as confident in myself about the math and how much time, I was already having to put in to do math. So I'm like, why would I want to be an engineer? Like, I mean, I guess I would never sleep if I'm already doing this in the 10th grade to, excel. And he convinced me that you're gonna always have unknowns, but you can't be afraid of them. And he said you could do music and math. You don't just have to choose one. So a lot of times society will have females thinking that they cannot do things that have not been done before. Even simple things. Recently, I know this is going to sound very weird. Someone sent me a video of a funeral, and there were females carrying the casket. I have never seen that. And I was like, oh, I like it. So society has always said it's got to be men carrying the casket. Like, I never thought to think that females could also do the same. Never seen it. So just something as easy as that. A sad situation, but we've not seen that before. So you will all still have things that you're going to have to be the first to do. You're going to have to change the culture by doing something that's not been done before by females, or just not been done before, period, with anybody. So don't be afraid to do things that have not been done before. And don't let anyone tell you what you're not able to do. Don't let anyone discourage your capabilities. And before we end, I want to introduce Aisha. We were not expecting Aisha to be able to make the call because of a flight, but Aisha is our secretary for RTP Desby Jr. I don't know if she's able to come on. Hi, Aisha. Did
Yeah,
you
I'm
want to say
here.
anything? Okay.
Actually, I wanted to answer the last question. So, like, I know, like, as I've been coding and doing STEM since third grade, and I've like over time I've kind of realized that like it's like life is all STEM, but like you don't have to only do STEM. Like you can always like continue your other activities. Like I do cheer. That's not directly STEM, but like I still do it. I've pursued it since like as long as I can remember. But like you don't always have to do STEM like every part every day, but like also you can like incorporate it like Dr. Tony was saying, like you can do both. Like STEM relates to every part of your life. So like you for who knows you can cheer and STEM and combine them into something new. Like it's not like a one time deal or like a one specific thing, and like as time goes on like we're open to like new possibilities and like there's new fields of STEM, like so it's not like you're not tied to one thing, as Dr. Tony was saying earlier. I thought that was a good idea, but yeah. So hi guys, I'm Aisha. I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself, but yeah, I'm secretary.
Awesome. I do want to, Imani, were there any other questions before we wrap up?
No, that was it. Thank you so much for everyone and for the people who had to leave early. This was very informative for me, and I hope it was for everybody else. And I see that I have like so many great role models of, I guess, like I am a sophomore and I just have 2 more years left. It's almost the end of my sophomore year, so I have just 2 more years left in high school, and I was like feeling nervous and apprehensive about like, okay, what am I gonna do for college? How am I gonna, I don't know, like how do I funnel my interest into my major and what is my career gonna look like? How can I stay confident being, I guess, a woman of color in STEM? And I guess what are some tools I can use? And this has been so informative for me. And I hope everybody else too. And just we talked about camaraderie, so this is kind of what that is too. So thank you everybody. And no, I don't have any more questions.
All right. Well, let's give Imani a round of applause. I see there's some shouts out, Imani. Yay! For you in the chat as well. You did an excellent job. You're definitely a role model yourself. And also all of you who presented tonight and some who did not even, speak, but I know your backgrounds. I know what your story and what you've been through and your journey. So continue to do what you do. And also parents, students, if you have any questions that we did not get answered tonight, my email I'm putting in the chat. If you would like to reach out to me, I think we should get this panel together again. It was very informative. And just to kind of close out, I am going to share a little history that I think is important for us to pay attention to. I don't know if you saw this announcement recently, but this is the crew that is going to be going to the moon. So Artemis 2 mission is going to be taking place. I think it's this summer. I have to find the exact date. Maybe we can have a watch party for this. But this is you actually going to have your first Black astronaut that's going to be going to the moon, as well as your first female, who is Christina Coates. She actually went to North Carolina State University, and she also went to the North Carolina School of Science and Math. So she is from North Carolina. So anyway, want to bring that to your attention, as you know, new possibilities are still happening for women, and there's still work to do. With that, we'll end, and thank you for joining. Everyone have a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank